For some reason, I feel like Grant Cardone has posted 7 videos in the last 2 weeks, literally targeting why the single family is the worst investment ever, that you shouldn't buy condos or townhouses or single family for a variety of reasons. Why would you buy the whole Whole Foods when you could just buy one item, he says. It's a lot of hyperbole, but what are the reasons Grant Cardone actually gives as to why you shouldn't buy a single family house? Where is he correct and where is he wrong? I'm in a hotel room in Seattle right now because we're on lunch break for my real estate investing crash course, which you can see the locations I'll be in linked below. Number 1, Grant Cardone says you shouldn't own a single family house because it doesn't pay you. But I think this is an apples to oranges comparison. If we're talking about investing in real estate, we're talking about renting out single family houses and renting out condos, just like we're talking about renting out apartment buildings, which I do as well, and I'm a big fan of investing in multifamily real estate. But let's not BS and mix up the truth here. When you're living in a house, you're right. It's not a rental property. However, there's something special that you could do with single-family houses and smaller deals that you can't do with multifamily. That is, large deals, over 5 units. Oh, and by the way, do you ever get the subtle hint when Grant Cardone says, oh, well, I could, have an LLC and own a house and rent it back to me? Yeah. He owns where he lives too. Let's be real. That's because he's actually smart and knows the benefits of real estate. It's just easier to sell the idea of rent where you live and own what you can rent. I can rent every place I live in too. See, with smaller deals less than 4 units, again, single family, a condo, or duplex, triplex, or fourplex, you could finance these deals on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, which means your loan payments won't change over the course of the loan, and it'll be fully paid off when you completely own the property. This is in contrast to large deals, where anytime you buy anything larger than 5 units, you're usually doing shorter term loans or you're doing interest-only loans. In fact, a very common strategy that a lot of real estate funds are doing right now, and I'm not saying Grant Cardone is doing this, but it wouldn't surprise me, is a lot of people right now in real estate funds taking advantage of commercial financing are doing interest-only loans. They're not actually paying down any of the principal. Their goal is to control real estate and just let it appreciate in value. They're speculating, and I'm not a big fan of only banking on appreciation, which you usually get from larger apartment buildings because you can't buy them below market value. Now, obviously, you get cash flow, which is very valid, but the reason you get cash flow isn't because it's an apartment building and you don't get cash flow because a house is somehow going to have a negative cash flow. The one reason there's cash flow in multifamily real estate is because the banks force you to have cash flowing deals by putting down 35 to 50%. Obviously, if you're financing a house for 5% down, that doesn't necessarily make it a bad deal because maybe you bought it below market value, you could turn around and flip it, you could rent it out, and you can cash flow because you got a good deal on it. But if you put 35, 45, 50% down on that deal, you'd also have cash flow, just like the larger apartment buildings. But in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of solely buying real estate to milk the existing cash flow by putting down 35 to 50% and banking on the appreciation to inflate my rates of return. I personally prefer a different style of buying real estate. See, in my opinion, a really easy way to build a lot of net worth quickly is by buying real estate below market value. In fact, just this year, I bought 3 what I call wedge or below market deals. So it's totally possible. Each one of those deals at the time of purchase increased my net worth $100,000. And I talk about those deals on this channel, how I bought them, and you can do it as well. Basically, the reason this is possible is a lot of people are fearful about doing basic things like paint and carpet in a property, which allows you to buy cosmetically challenged properties for significantly below what they're worth. And you can do this in every market. There's not a single market I've traveled to where I can't find wedge deals. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to this, and I'm not saying you have to buy this, but I do have a real estate investing course that teaches you how to buy real estate below market value, how to take advantage of safer 30-year fixed rate financing by buying deals, single families, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes, rather than being exposed to that nasty commercial financing where sometimes you're paying interest only, or you have to pay the lender penalty fees if you want to refinance it because rates went down. You don't pay penalty fees to refinance in single family, but you do in commercial. It's called a prepayment penalty. And it's a 30-year loan, as opposed to commercial, where oftentimes you're getting these balloon payments on loans in 5 to 10 years, which is bad, because what if one of those balloons during a bad market economy? See, to me, there's actually this dying opportunity right now to take advantage of buying houses that are cosmetically challenged. I'm talking paint and carpet. I'm not talking crazy expensive stuff. My rule of thumb is do not spend more than $40,000 to $50,000 fixing up a house. If you have to spend more than that, you're making a mistake. And this is where I'm going to give Grant Cardone some credit. And yeah, I just said give Grant Cardone some credit. See, when Grant Cardone says a house is not an investment, he's right in the fact that most people don't make their house an investment. They spend too much money spending money on crap they don't need, like crown molding, wainscoting, fancy kitchens, fancy flooring, which is totally a waste of money. It's not going to give you any more rent. This is what I always talk about in the course, is you want to find things that you can renovate, where if you spend $1, you'll get more rent in return. Or if I spend $1, how can I make $2 or $3 back in sale value? Most people putting $80,000 into a kitchen remodel don't even realize that they're probably only getting $10,000 in value back for that house. That is not what I recommend you do. And that's where I agree with Grant Cardone. The American culture is spend on nice stuff so you could show it off. And that's dumb. Or buying a bigger house than you need. That's dumb. But what I like to do is I like to buy houses that need work. I live in them for a year so I could finance them with really good, cheaper interest rate loans. I can put less money down if I want to, if the deal is really good and it still cash flows with 15% down because I got it so far below market value. I'll do that. I'll move into it for a year. I'll fix it up rental grade, and then I'll put it on the market for rent. Now, not only did I generate $100,000 in these last 3 deals in each deal by buying a deal below market value and then making it rental ready, but I'm not paying any taxes on that $100,000 in gains. I'll never pay taxes. I talk about that all the time on this channel. So now all of a sudden I have cash flowing deals, my net worth jumps immediately, and I have safer 30-year fixed rate financing, which is going to weather any kind of recession a lot better than an interest-only loan on a big commercial deal with a balloon payment. It's easy to say that there's scale in a lot of units, but the only reason fund managers go for massive deals is because it's not feasible for a fund manager to sell you a $500,000 house and take a 1% fee. How many of those can they reasonably do? They'd be better off selling you a $90 million deal, taking a 1% fee or $900,000 for putting you in the deal, and then when they speculate on appreciation, take 35% of your appreciation away from you as another fee. The other common argument I hear is people say things like, oh, well, if a house or a condo goes vacant or a duplex goes vacant, you're 100% or 50% vacant. Well, the rules that I teach, like what we're teaching in the crash course today, is you don't have a vacancy problem because you buy quality properties in sizzle-hot areas and you rent them out quickly by pricing your rentals appropriately. Properties will rent within a few days if you price them correctly and they're in great areas. I do this all of the time. So in my opinion, the argument that something's 50% vacant or 100% vacant, it should never be vacant. I'll just refill the tenancy. Now let's just make an example and say I had $10 million and I wanted to go buy a $30 million apartment deal. In my opinion, I'd rather go buy 60 single-family dwellings where each of those I buy them under market value and boost my net worth $100,000 extra. That's an extra $6 million in net worth day one because I spent the time looking for good quality properties that just need a little bit of a cosmetic facelift. This is in contrast to paying full pop retail value for a pretty multifamily building. Now, obviously, at some point, it's difficult to manage all of these properties, and that's why people do buy larger buildings, because they have more of other people's money that they need to invest. But when it comes to starting out, if you're trying to build a net worth so that you can create cash flow in the long run, in my opinion, buying stuff below market value, then taking advantage of the tax benefits, the appreciation, and all of the other benefits that go along with real estate is the best way to start. See, I wouldn't want to start with a 16-unit apartment building because now I have 16 tenants that I have to deal with. That's 16 tenants I have to manage and screen, and 16 different sets of bathrooms and kitchens that I have to deal with. If I start small, by starting by buying a house or condo for me to live in, now I understand what things cost, how to fix things up, how to buy real estate. Then I move out and I turn that into a rental property and I buy another property. Now all of a sudden I have experience and I have knowledge. Me in this position where I own multi-millions in real estate and have a multi-million-dollar net worth, I can go ahead and buy multifamily big apartment deals, and I'm all for it. But to me, the best way to start is getting started now, sooner rather than later, and then building your net worth in time, and then going towards bigger deals. Another hack to mention is when you own the property you live in, you can actually use tools like home equity lines of credit to make it very easy to purchase and acquire other rental properties, including larger multifamily deals, and then just reimburse your credit line over time. That way, rather than having your money sitting around in a savings account, you go buy a deal, and then the extra money you have for savings, you're paying off your credit line. It's a really good strategy to kind of convince you to keep investing, because now you invest and you pay off debt. Invest, pay off debt. So to make the argument that single-family houses or condos are the worst investment in your life, in my opinion, is really just hyperbole that says, you know what, why bother investing in small deals when you can come invest with me and pay me my fee? And I get it. They're running a business. But to talk down the small deal, in my opinion, is actually a mistake for them. See, if somebody like Grant Cardone partnered with me and said, hey, Kevin, teach people how to build a net worth by buying these deals and turning a $5,000 down payment into a house to a $100,000 net worth in a 12-month time frame. Teach them how to do that. Now there are more accredited investors out there. And when they're done running around dealing with contractors and paint, because it is hard work, then have them come invest with me. And yeah, they'll pay a fee, but they can invest in my fund and I'll do things at that point. But the whole argument that if you want to get rich or get started in real estate by throwing your money into a fund and somehow you're expecting to build wealth that way, in my opinion, is a big mistake. Not only is your cash flow taxed as ordinary income right away when you get your distributions, but you're pretty likely to spend that money. And that's in contrast to when you do your own deals, you're constantly trying to fund more of your own deals, continue to buy deals under market value, and continue to build a massive net worth. If you want to invest in a fund later in life, I think it's a great idea. But to talk down the rental potential of small deals, in my opinion, has no basis, and there's no argument why somebody shouldn't start small. I think the only argument is that it doesn't sound super American, where everything is always bigger is better. But it tends to be the most proven way to build a lot of wealth very quickly. If you're interested in more, feel free to look at other videos on my channel or check the link below for the real estate investing course. I'm doing 20% off using coupon code SHORTREDFIN until August 20th. Thanks so much for watching.